Good morning, everybody, and I hope you're having a wonderful time. We are going to start using complementary colors in watercoloring. This is the start of painting. To know how to layer or add washes, as it's called in watercolor, is to know how colors interact. So the first practice assignment, so to speak, or assignment, is going to be shading using complementary color opposites, like football at Christmas time. So red, green, blue, orange, yellow, and purple. There's a wonderful example right here that you can see. And we're going to talk about washes. I'm going to show you how to do that and try to get a decent painting using watercolor so that you can do this with acrylics, because there's always a color bleed. There's a certain level of opaqueness with acrylics, but there's also a certain level of transparency. Same thing with watercolors. So, as always, listen for that transition. As you can see, we got it all taped down. I got a pencil, I got my watercolors, and I'm lightly sketching. Okay, you don't want to put a lot of pressure. You do not want really your pencil lines to show. You want the color to kind of cover them up. So you want to guide. So real light pressure as you're drawing out what you're going to be painting. Here I'm just doing a still life, and I'm doing one out of my brain. I hope you have a photo resource. It's always better to have a photo resource. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The coloring is going to start. Like I said, complementary colors. So I'm going to start with like a yellow, and I'm going to go do the one way and then the opposite way here with a few things I'm going to start off with. So you can see that I'm tinting the paper. It's really hard to see, especially yellow, but you can see that I'm leaving some highlights in there. I'm tinting the paper. I'm already doing some form of shading with the color that I'm using. And going back over, this is kind of wet on wet. So I'm adding a little bit more paint where I want it darker and then moving it around with the brush. Now I'm going to go over here, and you can't see it, at least I can't see it, but I got bananas. So I'm going to start putting the shadow parts on the bananas. So you see that going. You can kind of see where the bananas are now. And I'm doing that with the purple, and then I got an orange. And since orange is a color and also a fruit, I decided to go with the color orange. So the complementary color of orange is blue. Football at Christmas time. What a wonderful concept. So you can see here I'm putting darks where darks are. And it's going to take multi-layers. It's not going to be 2 layers and you're done. You're going to want to work it. You want to build up your darks. You want to help accentuate your lights. You want some of that paper to peek through to show the highlights. You can see here I'm adding shadow. Notice that it's real dark at the base of the objects, and I lighten up as I get farther away. I'm keeping in mind the shape and trying to do the shadow according to the shape, because shadow is just a repeat. So here I'm putting the purple over top of it. Now we are using Crayolas in the painting, and Crayolas is not, I don't think it's the artist's choice of coloring. So they're not as transparent as some other watercolors. So there's going to be a little bit kind of a muddying going on here, but this is a good practice nonetheless. You don't just start off with a Les Paul playing guitar. You start off with this, class act, and then you work your way up until that Les Paul is just butter in your hands. So you can see here I'm adding more darks for the shadows. I'm keeping in mind where my light source is. Okay, I'm adding darks there and spreading it over. I'm not covering up all the yellow. I want that yellow to bleed through. Okay. And now I'm going to the banana, which I started with purple, and then I'm adding the yellow over top of it again, letting the highlights in there, and then putting a wash over the purple so that it will shadow. And there's the bell. Don't leave, stay right there. Now doing the same thing with the blue, I'm putting orange over top, and you want the area to dry before you apply any more paint, okay? So you can see I'm going in sections. I'm allowing other parts of the piece to dry, so I'm still working on it. I'm doing the background, adding a red in for my background. You can see I'm going from dark If I put that dark color right next to the objects, it'll help it pop out a little bit more. And then I'm lightening it as it goes further away. So I'm just painting in the background so I can let the other stuff rest and dry so I can add more watercolor to create darker darks and transition the midtones to the highlights. So this piece is far from done. You're going to use more than just 2 layers of paint. You're going to apply more layers of paint where it's needed. So you can see I'm going back, darkening up the orange a little bit, and I'm pushing it around. You want a nice smooth transition. Let that water work for you, okay? Let it dissipate that color, and then just push it to where you would like to go and push it into a smooth transition. So, and then I'm just darkening up other things, creating more contrast. Contrast is basically light versus dark. So it's like you comparing contrast in class. That's what you're doing here. So this is the basics. So many layers. This is as far from done. So I want you to practice this and try this out. Have a good one.